My brothers and sisters in Christ, in the ancient world, different peoples had their different pantheon of gods, of deities that they assigned that took on very anthropomorphic characteristics. We look, most famously perhaps at the Greek gods of Zeus and Hermes and all Apollo and all the deities that all took human form, had their quirks just like humans do, but at a mightier level, in the sense of another echelon of divinity, but with very human-like characteristics. And so they made bargains, they were shrewd in their dealings with humans, and yet, commanded the fealty and the respect, the devotion. And so people made sacrifices to the gods. This carried on in Rome, the different Roman deities, that you had the cult that you made offerings to the gods to keep their goodness, to keep them on your good side, so to speak. And so in the ancient world, this, regardless, even though each nation or people had their different pantheon of gods, this was the way of thinking in a polytheistic world. And so enter the God of Israel. From the beginning that he calls Abraham to be the father of a great nation, and now into the time of Moses, as we're hearing in the first reading, the people of Israel that he calls his own nation. What is your name, they ask. What is the name of this God who's talking to us? And he doesn't give them a name like a human name. He says, I am who am. I am God. I am the only God. There are no other gods beside me. And so from this time on, the people of Israel are trained through the law, the revelation of God, to understand God in a different way they've ever understood before. That God is not an aloof superhuman, but God is beyond their comprehension. God is infinite, and yet has a tender heart and desires his people for closeness with them. So he gives them the law, as their hearts were not completely ready to understand the depths of this. The law given like training wheels on a bike. And so the law was meant to train in virtue and a heart of humility, of relationship with God, and yet at every turn the covenant with him was broken. And so we can fast forward to the time of Jesus. Jesus comes, God in the form of a man, but not like the Greek gods, not just appearing as a human being, but truly God taking human flesh, and appears and tells the people that God is love, that God has come to save his people from their sins. Now, in the gospel, we hear that Jesus says he's not come. His teaching is radical. And it's radical, that's why there's so much resistance amongst many who hear it. But, as he is pointing out in today's gospel, this is not a new teaching that replaces the old. In fact, it's the perfect fulfillment of what God has been preparing his people for. He's been working on the softening of their hearts to understand their relationship with him. And so, in the first reading, when we hear Moses speak, what other nation has a God so close to us, close to their people as our God is to us? Yes, and we can echo the same thing. Of all the systems of religious belief in human history and the ancient world into today, no one can claim a God that is so intimately close, a God who is love and loves his people so much that he would take on our life and die so that we might have life with him. It's radical. And yet that is the nature of our God revealed to us. And so during this Lenten season, we're being called to see all the ways in which we have turned away. Our God is not distant like other gods. He's not a God away on a journey. He's not aloof. He's not a clockwork God like the deists of old said, who just, created things and then stepped back from his creation. But our God is intimately close to us at all times. And so when we don't perceive the presence of God in our life, it's because it's us. We have turned our backs away from him. He's right behind us. Or we've put the blindfold on of our own choosing because we're looking for a God that meets our expectation as opposed to humbly falling to our knees as humble creature and gazing in wonder upon our Creator. So my brothers and sisters, this time of Lent is the time for us to realize who God is as God has revealed himself to us, and to know properly who we are in relation to him, and that all else that we put before, all the things we distract ourselves that lead our gaze away from him, are merely false idols. Our God is ever close to us. Through our prayer, our fasting, our almsgiving this season, may we make sure that we are as close and proximate to him as he draws to us. May God bless you all.